and then go to church tomorrow. Everything's cool. So I called my first coven and I said, hey, you know, I heard there was a coven out there that's out to rule the world. And I heard that they have contacts with the Illuminati and Bohemian Grove. I don't know if those things are real. I don't know if they really exist. But if they do, can you hook me up with them? And they gave me this place called Satan's World Church or World Church of Satan. 2 different names, same coven. And here's an address. Go there on Saturday, you should be fine. I went there on Saturday. It was the size, it was a warehouse about the size of a super Walmart. Had about 10,000 people in it, having a giant party. I was like, this is a fun start. I'll take this. You know, let's go back to me being 13 years old. One night I got up at like 3 in the morning at a sleepover. Had to go to the bathroom and had to get a drink of water. Saw this guy look like a member of KISS wearing a tuxedo. And he had a wand with him. And I'm looking at him, I couldn't get my eyes off of him. He just looked awesomely cool. And he sees me and winks at me and keeps going. So the next day I ask, hey, I saw this last night, what is this? They said, you dreamed that, that didn't happen. Okay. So parents are gonna lie to me, adults are gonna lie to me, Baptist preachers are gonna lie to me, now my coven's gonna lie to me. I'll find out one day. I'll just store that in the back of my head. So one day happened when I was 18. I was at this party and I saw not the same guy, but the same look. And I grabbed somebody next to me. I said, who is that? What is that? How can I do that? And they said, well, who ran your coven? I said, we had a really big coven. It had 120 to 150 members at any given time. We had 13 high priests and priestesses. He said, who did your magic? I said, well, most people wore a black robe. Initiates wore a white robe. The main magic practitioner wore a red robe. And they said, okay, well, we're run by a CEO and a board of directors. We have over 1 million members worldwide. And the person that does our magic is called the High Wizard. And that's what he looks like. I was like, how do I do that? He says, I don't know, but I think you have to get the devil's permission and you have to get his attention. And then he chooses you. But I don't really know how you get his attention. I don't know what you have to do. You know, I was like, all right. Well, I knew from my first coven that abortion is how you get the devil's attention. If you're going to do a hex and you really want to get the devil's attention and permission to give you whatever it is you're trying to get, you have to do an abortion. You have to give him something completely innocent and defile it and give it to the devil. And then the devil, in return, gives you whatever you're trying to get. So I figured if I get hooked up with the guys in this coven that are doing abortions, I can get his attention. I don't know what to do beyond that, but I do a few of those. When I was 21 years old, I got this letter in the mail, and I was called before the CEO and board of directors. Now, what I also know is that a lot of people that get called like that are never seen or heard from again. So I was kind of worried about that. I actually went out and bought a handgun, a bunch of ammo, because I thought, I ain't going out like no sucker. You know, they can say whatever they want, but I'm coming up loaded for bear. And I went to the meeting like that. They had a big black curtain on a wall. They took that down. It was about 9 costumes and different face paint designs. And they gave me this little blue, almost like a cartoon type book. And it was called the High Wizard Handbook. Okay. I open that up. They tell me that the devil has handpicked me to be the next High Wizard. And I open up the first page and it says, nobody can tell you what to do. All right, this is a job for me. I'm gonna get a job where I get to do all kind of cool stuff and nobody can tell me what to do. Sign me up. So I got to travel. I got to meet kings, queens, princes, presidents, millionaires, billionaires, rock stars, actors. I help rock stars sell their souls and become famous. And I got to do all this. I'm getting to fly all around the world. Many times I flew without a passport. I got 2 VIP passes to fly on private or public airlines, where I show up, give them my ID, a VIP pass, and I'm in first class, flying wherever I want to go. Or I show up and fly on a private plane and go someplace around the world, and no passport is needed. And I'm thinking, I thought all this was impossible. This is like, you know, James Bond type stuff, or, you know, some kind of fantasy land stuff. You know, this isn't real. But it turns out it is real. First year you're a high wizard, you get to go to Bohemian Grove. At Bohemian Grove, they told me that every president we've ever had was put into office with the Illuminati's help, except for one. I expect somebody during the Q&A will ask me who that one was. Well, Trump would be number 2. Trump would be there'd be 2 people that didn't, but I didn't know Trump back then. You know, I met Ronald Reagan at Bohemian Grove in 1987, but he seemed very uncomfortable to be there. I reached out to shake his hand because I voted for Reagan, and he stuck his hand out, and then he looked up and saw where I was and pulled his hand back. And in a way, that kind of made me feel better. You know, he rejected the Satanists. I saw Obama there in '94. Saw the Clintons there in '92. It's no women allowed, and I saw the Clintons there in '92. I went to a bunch of Illuminati meetings. I helped about 1,200 rock stars become rock stars. If you had a hit song from '87 to '99, and you weren't famous prior to that, you signed your deal through me. And I thought this was the coolest job in the world. I did 146 assisted abortions. I had 3 abortions that failed. My 3 abortions that failed all failed basically the same way. When the last one failed, I'll give you the scenario. I arrive during the day at an abortion clinic, full makeup. If you want to know what a high wizard looks like, go to Pink Like a Pill official video on YouTube. She has a high wizard that appears in her video 4 times. If you want to know, well, you know, maybe it's just a video and she doesn't know who that person is, there's a ministry in Spain, and they have a picture of Pink on the red carpet next to the high wizard. So apparently she does know who it is. And I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. I actually forgot. I went on a little tangent, and this will happen to you too when you get older. Went on a little tangent, and now I got lost. I got to work my way back to where I was.
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove, thank you. Good old Jack. So, I still don't know where I was going.
Sir, failed the abortion clinic.
What was that?
The abortion clinic during the day.
Oh yes, thank you. So, I've arrived at the abortion clinic. I'm dressed as the high wizard. I have an entourage. I arrived there with a limo. I walk inside. We walk upstairs, and this woman is prepped and ready to go. Now, this is her 9th or 10th abortion. She's what's called a breeder. She intentionally gets pregnant so she can get an abortion. And there's a lot of this in the world of Satanism. I get ready. I'm dressed in my robe. I'm ready to go. I've got my surgical mask and my gloves on. The doctor's getting ready. Now, on our side of the street is a Satanic biker gang. They're flicking cigarettes across the street, flipping those people off, mooning them, bearing their breasts at them, just being all around rude. The people across the street, walking around quietly, praying on these little Jesus ropes or Jesus chains, prayer beads, worry ropes, different things like that. But quietly, they're being respectful. They're not yelling at anybody across the street. So we're getting ready to go, and we hear chanting. Well, we're Satanists, we chant. So we walk over to the window, and we're trying to hear what they're chanting. We can't quite make it out. So there's a big jalousie window and a jalousie crank, so we crank that and open the window up so we can hear it. These people across the street, they've all got these little Jesus ropes in their hands, and they're all on their knees. And we listened to it a few times, and then I start repeating back what I was hearing. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Okay. I don't know what any of that means, but okay. And then my handler says, Holy Mary, Mother of God. And we both burst out laughing, thinking, man, God is old. Imagine how old his mom must be. But, we don't get the whole reference. But we finished that. And then we don't know what it is we just heard. So we crank the window back shut again. And we walk over, it's time to start this, get this show on the road. Doctor starts up and he says, she's not dilated, she's not ready to go. We're not going to be having an abortion today. Or we might going to have it in like maybe 6 hours. I said, no, I'm flying out in like 4 hours, I got to go. And, he says, how about tomorrow? I said, I can't fly back. I got stuff to do, I got other places to go. So the woman is like, you need to get going, the baby's in the birth canal, it's about to happen. He goes, the baby's not in the birth canal, you're not ready to have an abortion, well, we can't do this. All the abortions we did were late term. So you have to deliver the baby for the most part, only the head remains, and then the abortion happens from there. And, she's like cussing us up a blue streak. And she asked me, is it your first rodeo too? And I said, no. And she goes, well, feel in there and tell me. I said, I don't know what to do. I have a certain job to do. I don't actually do the abortion, but I wouldn't know. I don't even know what dilated means. I can't help you. So she's cussing us out for 5 minutes straight. And me and the doctor are talking about what else could we do. And while we're having this discussion, we hear a baby cry. And we both look down, the baby came out. When that happens, now you get a counselor and a nurse and an attorney, and they adopt the baby out. And it goes to a good family. Satanists don't want the baby. They're not going to get the baby. They don't want it. And then we plan our days and just go on with whatever we have to do next. But I got back to the office and I said, you got to I asked my secretary to pull all the reports on all the people that have failed, all the wizards that failed to do an abortion. I want to see what the common denominator is. So in all the reports, it happened during the day, during regular business hours, and it could be a Planned Parenthood or it could be just a regular abortion clinic. But everybody was praying Jesus ropes, Jesus chains, worry beads, life beads. What did no one call it? A rosary. I think that was a grace. Because if all of them had said rosary, then I would have known. Okay, somehow this thing called a rosary is stopping the abortion. But no one said rosary. So to me, the only common denominator is that it happened during the day. Well, that couldn't be the common denominator because we did, in our coven, probably had hundreds of abortions happening every year, maybe thousands. And very few times did they not work. So it couldn't be that they're there during the day. There's got to be something else. But studying those reports, I couldn't figure what that was. Well, after you've sinned as much as you want to, sinning is boring. Like, you have to sin because you're expected to sin. You have a reputation to uphold. You're the high wizard. you have to show that you party as hard as the rock stars do. You know, I'm driving a Lamborghini Diablo. It's not mine, I don't own it, but I look like I do. I've got $87 million in the bank. It's not mine, but it's in my bank account, so it looks like it's mine. I live in different mansions around the United States. I don't own any of them, but when you're living in them, you look like you own them. I'm partying with rock stars. I'm partying with presidents. I'm partying with whoever I want to party with. And I'm having a great time at first. Now remember, I got to do all this stuff. But eventually, it's not a got to, it's you have to. And I'm addicted to magic, so I can't really stop that. But I'm getting tired of doing that. I'm getting tired of people paying my coven money, and now I have to do the spell. Now there was one spell, only one, that I refused to do. I always figured that if you paid $1 million or more for a spell, you deserve to have it. You know, I should do it for you, or some high wizard should do it. I had a meeting back in the late 80s or early 90s, and some people wanted me to do a spell that would clear the path for a pope to be assassinated. And I said no. And the funny thing was, I wasn't Catholic. I knew nothing about the Catholic Church. But to me, it's kind of like there are certain people you don't mess with. You know, like you don't mess with Junkyard Dog, and you don't mess with the Catholic Church. And I didn't know why, but I just felt, I don't think that's a wise idea. But one of my reasons for not wanting to do it is that I equated a Catholic priest with a high wizard. And there's between 2 and 5 of us in the world. The number could be as low as 1 or as high as 10. There's tens of thousands of priests in the world. Man, if I upset them by killing their pope, they'd probably kill me. It'd be tens of thousands of them against me. Not feeling that one. So that's the only spell that I refuse to do. And I equate doing all the sinning I can do with working in a candy store. Not a candy store in the mall, but a freestanding building. There's a few of those around, and they're huge. You have tens of thousands of pieces of candy. And you're wondering, how long is it going to take me to try every piece of candy? And every piece of candy is every sin there is. Now, not the licorice, because no one wants that, but the rest of the candy. So there are some sins that are so disgusting nobody wants to do, but the rest of the sins, sure. So in the first 6 months, I've tried all the sins I wanted to do. And in the first year, I've had the licorice too. And then after 3 years, you know, when I first started working there were yellow lights on yellow wrappers, and blue lights on blue wrappers, red lights on red wrappers, and that looked amazing. But now after 3 years, that looks disgusting. There's red tiles on the wall and white tiles on the wall and also on the floor, and they are bright and shiny. But after 3 years, they're kind of dull, and you can't get them as shiny as they used to be anymore. And after 7 years, you notice that there's no new candy being made. There's no new sins. How come my boss can't produce anything anymore? Why is that? And then a new candy bar comes out, and you rip it open. You're so excited because it's a brand new candy bar. But when you open it, you realize it's just a new wrapper. Candy's still the same. Crack cocaine comes out. Woohoo! Let's try that. Let's smoke some crack. And you smoke it, and then you realize, wait a minute, that's just cocaine. It's nothing special. It's nothing new. And then 7 years, 8 years in, this job sucks. I no longer get to do stuff. Now I have to do stuff. I have to party with people. I'm surprised I didn't OD on drugs or get so drunk that I just killed myself. Because I was